night and good luck, and may these thoughts be with you.
On the streets we tend to show different faces that we know, and we're never truly real, and we never look.
Any farmer could grow it. Any person could grow it. Nobody went to jail for it. So we should be pushing for repeal of the marijuana law. Not legalization, not medical. They're scams. That's just a way to keep it regulated. We want no regulation. In 1933, under FDR, our government went bankrupt. Then they had to incorporate. So most people think it's our government. It's not our government. It's a corporation. The founding fathers set up a constitutional government. We no longer have a constitutional government. What we have is a corporation telling us how to live our lives, controlling our money. Now, the World Bank has destroyed the economy of our country. They knew what they were doing. The banks took the original mortgage. They made copies of that original mortgage. In some cases, 40 copies, 100 copies. Then they took these bonds and they sold them on, and they gave them a AAA rating when actually they were forgeries. When they bring you into court, they put your name in all capital letters when they're charging you, right? If you look at your birth certificate, your name was written in all capital letters. When you look at your driver's license was written in all capital letters. When you look at your Social Security card, it's in all capital letters. How were you taught in school to write your name? With a capital first letter and then the rest small. That's a sovereign. That's a flesh and blood human being signs his name that way. Corporations are registered in all capital letters. So what they did when you got your birth certificate, they created a corporation in your name. Now, when you go into court, they bring you in as a corporation. They charge the corporation because under the law, under our constitutional law, they cannot charge a sovereign with a crime under a statute. Statutes do not apply to us. They won't tell you this. Lawyers won't tell you this. You can't get a lawyer if you want to be a sovereign. You got to stand on your own sovereignty. What you have to do when you go into court is say, wait a minute, I'm not a corporation. That name you have on the paper, that's not me. I'm a flesh and blood human being. I'm a sovereign. And I stand on my sovereign rights. Another trick in court. When you go into court, they say to you, how do you plead to these charges? Well, that's a trap. That's a trick. Most of what they do to you in court is a trick to get you under their jurisdiction, because a sovereign is king and a court don't have authority over a sovereign. They know it. They know it. Now, how they trick you is they say, well, how do you plead to the charges? If you say, not guilty, then the prosecutor says guilty. Now there's a conflict. He says guilty, you say not guilty, it's up to the judge to decide. So now the case is on, right? That's a trick. Another trick they do is they say, do you understand the charges against you, right? And most of us think in terms of Webster's dictionary. You say, I understand what you're saying, Your Honor, but they're using legal speak. When a judge says to you, do you understand the charges against you? What he's really saying is, do you stand under these charges? When you say yes, you're saying the case is on. So always, when you go into court, they say to you, do you plead guilty or not guilty? You say, I don't stand under these charges, Your Honor. Now you're being a real pain in the ass because you're not giving them jurisdiction. And then say, I'm a sovereign human being and I reserve all my rights. That means you're reserving all your constitutional rights. You are not a person, you are one of we, the people. The Congress has turned around and said, well, we're going to let the DEA make some laws, and we're going to let the FBI make some laws, and we're going to let this guy make laws, and this guy make laws. No. When we set up the Constitution, when the Founding Fathers set up the Constitution, Congress was supposed to make the laws. So all these other laws were made as statutes, and they were put under corporate because they can't legally make laws against sovereigns. Under our form of law, in order to bring someone to court, you have to have an injured party. When a prosecutor brings you in and says, the people of the state of New York are charging you, you say, what people? Put them on the stand. Where is the injured party? Then you say the prosecutor does not have jurisdiction over a sovereign. And you demand that the prosecutor prove that he has jurisdiction. If you were in a country that had a king, would the servant come to the king and say, hey man, it's time to get up, or I don't like what you're eating, or I don't like what you're smoking? A servant does not tell the king what to do. It's time for the American people to wake up and assert their sovereignty. Government does not control us, we control it.
We need a second American revolution.
We have a second American revolution.
We need a second American revolution.
The country was on the verge of revolution.
We need a second American revolution.
The second American revolution.
Skeptics say 9/11 was not an inside job, even though hundreds of eyewitnesses said they seen bombs like William Rodriguez and Marlene Cruz. Even the average citizen seen her on the news, and they heard the testimony about bombs going off, bodies in the lobby with their face blowing off. You say it doesn't matter, it means nothing to you, and you act like eyewitnesses are not enough proof. When I talk about it, you call me a conspiracy theorist. Your body doesn't need to listen, I need your spirit to hear this. And once you learn the truth, you'll never
Last year, there were published a paper in Experimental Health Perspectives by a group of doctors from the Mount Sinai Medical School in Manhattan, and they looked into the lung tissue on World Trade Center responders, and we should see what they found. The picture to the left here is from lung tissue, and they found some thread-like tubular structures in 4 out of 7 patients which were ill, in numbers ranging from 11,000 to 230,000 per gram wet tissue. This is the same material which they found also in the World Trade Center dust, which is moving around here somewhere.
My progression in Iraq has started with 9/11 because that's what led to the war. Like Dennis was saying, that's what fueled the fire. That's the big part of the lies that led to the lies I witnessed in Iraq. So I didn't join because of 9/11, because to me, growing up as a kid in Kentucky, I was working 50 hours a week. I was selling drugs to pay my child support. I was broke. I was a hood rat. And I was growing up like you probably see a bunch of kids running around the ghettos around here. 9/11 happened. It didn't affect me. I didn't think about it because I didn't have health care. I was working a job that paid me $5 something an hour. What do I care about these 3,000 people that died when my friends are dying every day in the street? This is what feeds the fuel that Iraqis are beneath us and we can go kill them, because look it, they killed 3,000 innocent people. They don't care about innocent lives. In Desert Storm, we couldn't get into Baghdad because the people heard about the innocent people we killed in the bombings. Now, 3,000 Americans are dead. We don't care how many Iraqis you got to kill. Killing the civilians is part of war. And that's what they sent us into Baghdad with. I joined in 03 because I was broke. I needed money, but I was a young American kid. I wanted to fight in the war. I joined up. month out of training, I arrive in Baghdad, Iraq, January 04. Saddam's been captured. And I get there, and the guys that I'm serving with have been there for 6 months already. They were there in 03. And I go, well, you know, I think it's come out that, you know, these people had nothing to do with 9/11. There was no Iraqi on those planes. We can see around here there's no Al-Qaeda, there's no terrorist syndicates in Baghdad or Iraq. Saddam had stamped them out. And I asked my buddies, well, you know, we're here to find weapons of mass destruction. And they laughed at me. And I said, well, you know, we're here to help the people. And they laughed at me. And I said, well, what's our mission? What's our goal? I thought we were going to find the people that did 9/11. I thought we were going to get these weapons of mass destruction. I thought we were going to help the people. And they're like, all we're trying to do is make it home alive. And then I'm going to lead you in now to the other lies, because you guys know the lies, but I bled for these lies. I watched my brothers die for these lies. People had lost people in 9/11. 1, 2, family. I lost many of my friends and brothers. And I lost part of me for the stuff I did in Iraq. And then we go to January, February, March. You know, nothing's happening. And then Bush gives his speech about Bring It On. And in April of 04, we lost 135 soldiers for this lie, for his lies, for his swaggers being from Texas or whatever. And the more soldiers we lost, the more our procedures changed. Which leads into escalation. 9/11, we can go kill people now. We lost 135 guys. We can kill people now. We were ordered and fired upon, you know, hunker down, radio, wait for orders to return fire. In April, they told us in a crowded area, if one person shoots at you, kill everybody. Because they're letting them attack you. They are no longer innocent if they're there at the time of the crime. Sounds like American rules. If your buddy commits a crime, you're there, you can get caught up on charges on it. But these aren't charges, these are death. We're killing people because they're there when someone else attacked us, because we believe that if we kill enough innocent people, they'll stop the people from attacking us. But what they don't realize is the innocent people we killed, it was their brother, it was their uncle that was trying to kill us, because we already killed his 3 children.
Now do you believe? What are you doing here?
Kill the Kleyans! Severus is next!
When the lieutenant became unconscious, the alien lost energy. It subsists on the emotions of others. This one appears to be strengthened by mental radiations of hostility, violent intentions. It exists on the hate of others, to put it simply. And it has acted as a catalyst, creating this situation. In order to satisfy that need, it has brought together opposing forces in an effort to promote the most violent mode of conflict.
We've got to get rid of it.
Then all hostile attitudes on board must be eliminated. The fighting must end, and soon.
Oh, we're a doomed ship. We've got to pool our knowledge.
We must find a way to defeat the alien force of hate.
Stop the war now or spend eternity in futile, bloody violence.
It has to stop.
Look, gang, for the rest of our lives. 1,000 lifetimes. Senseless violence. Fighting. While an alien has total control over us. It really goes on and on. Good old game of war, pawn against pawn. Stopping the bad guy.
Town and downtown girls loving her. All junglers.
I give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and the mountain. I give you the world and all that you reach for.